This Turkish Class A player wore me out in the end. I won his queen early on with. He comes out with this opening, and I do often win people's queens when they play this, and I just had it in my head, well, you know, he's Class A, won't make many mistakes, but I'm still going to try and win his queen, because that's what I've come to learn.
Queenside castling.
But I win queens. Now you see he's going to go on to shift that knight so that his queen can snap up the pawn on the end there. So that's how he's going to be thinking now, and here he goes. And I chase, just point out, I'm chasing that bishop, but I'm not really just chasing the bishop, I'm trying to hem in his knight there on that side with those pawns.
Queenside castling.
Getting the clone ready for my knight there in case he takes it, and then getting the fianchetto bishop there. And I took with the bishop, inviting him to take that pawn, which he does. Bring the king to safety. And now, unfortunately, this knight move hems him in, and the queen must fall. So, the wayward queen must die. In fact, I can win this knight as well by doing this, and then bringing over the rook. I can't remember if I did actually get round to winning it in the end. But I would first of all wanted to just defend against this possible attack with these rooks. You see here, could fork my queen and get my queen at least in return for 2 rooks. So let's just get on with the knight here. He's got to run, but I can't take it with that pawn now, you see, because if I do, he will capture my knight with the 2 rooks, and then we're looking at, as I say, a triple attacked pawn there. The bishop there attacking it too, so I just had to retreat at this point.
Check.
And his knight was allowed to flee. Can't take it because the bishop's protecting it there. Now he comes up here and attacks my queen. Obviously, that's his first order of the day. Got to get his queen. He's won my queen, got to get his. So we move the queen. It's not a good square. It's kind of a nice move from the king. It's kind of mirrored. So we've got to be a bit careful. I'm okay with getting rid of pieces. He decides, you know, he takes a knight and I take a knight. He's trying to open up a line, but actually, the more pieces you've got, the better if you're down to, you know, if you're down a queen. So, but he does have me on the hop a bit, but I'm still eyeing up this potential mating square on the B file, that B7 square, which I've been eyeing up, if we go back, for some time. As you see, I was thinking of trying ways to shift that knight. We'll get an instamate if we shift his knight there on the C6 square.
Check.
So, queen must come to here, and then to here, and now, as I say, I'm still eyeing up that B7 square.
Check.
For an instamate. Comes in with a check, move out the way, and now he guards that square. Now, perhaps I should have taken that bishop to simplify things earlier. It's good to simplify things when you've won a queen. I didn't. Instead, I went for this back rank idea. He takes the bishop.
Check.
And rather than recapture immediately,
Check.
I decide to get on with
Check.
the rook here and then capture. Now we have simplified now. We've both got 9 points of major pieces. He does have an extra couple of pawns. And his king is actually quite well protected back there from attacks from my queen. So it's a bit tricky. The queen sort of behaves like a bishop when you get into this situation against a rook and a knight. It's not good to get her using the files because the rook can easily end up being traded for her. So you have to really think diagonals a lot with the knight, with the queen when you get to this stage. So here we are, look, a sort of double attack here, a sort of skewer or an X-ray, and he manages to defend both pieces here with a little mini triangle of tension. And so we come up here ready for a back rank to get onto the back rank. Another good defense here from that knight.
Check.
Of course, I can get onto the back rank with this way as well. And I could have whizzed across at this point. That was another option. The last thing we want is our queen trapped. I don't think she would have got trapped by such a small number of pieces, but I decided to come here instead. It prevents him from moving his pawns very much. And it's attacking that C-file pawn that's going to tie up his rook for a little while. So he's doing a good job of defending all his pawns here, I have to say. And now I have to advance pawns. It's the only way of breaking through. It's a bit of a risky strategy. It could expose my king to some attacks, and certainly to some forks with the rook that will snap up the odd pawn here and there. That is almost to be expected at this point. And now he decides to go ahead with a pushing forward. He realises this square, this e5 square, is actually rather well defended.
Check.
So I'd go for a check first, and then come back to here. Now why can't he just take that pawn? Well, if he does,
check.
I suppose he can really.
Check. Check.
Maybe he should have done.
Check.
That wouldn't have been a good idea. He's got no more checks left. Perhaps move
Check.
up that. I mean, maybe that would have been better for him.
Check. Check.
He would have been closer to queening.
Check.
So I don't know why he didn't go that route, but then
Check.
the next thing that would have followed would have been this. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to go where he won't get forked?
Check.
You know, I mean, if he sticks to the white squares,
Check.
he's going to sooner or later end up with a fork. I don't know. I mean, I think that knight move was odd, but he was trying to avoid my queen taking that pawn with check. Understandable, but he had check on that move, so he really should have done that. I just managed to panic.
Check.
And then I got a check off here because, you know, defending the pawn, yes, but not defending all the checking squares. And then I get to take the pawn, and that was really a big mistake on his part, and I should have capitalised a bit more. Now here he is, attacks, and I snap up another. So now we've got 4 pawns each, and that's quite honestly should have been a winning situation for me, but don't forget I'm playing against a Class A player. So snapped another pawn up. He's now got an extra, but I can snap another up with check. So again, we're even, 3 pawns each.
Check.
Got another check. And push the pawns, push the pawns. So only 2 squares from queening now. So that is a very big advantage, but he's now pushing his at last. So got to get in front of it. It comes and attacks here. Now,
check.
I had to move to that black square and not the white square. I couldn't directly block that because then that would have opened me up to a nasty fork here.
Check.
So that's why I had to move an extra square down, and that kind of gives him the ability to move that pawn on again.
Check.
He also has a checking and pawn taking move at the same time, but not before I have my little check here. And I kind of thought, am I ever going to get rid of this? This is where I made my big mistake. He just wore me down. You know, he's a Class A player. I am afraid of Class A players. And I decided that perhaps if I took this rook with my queen, it might be impossible for him to stop that pawn from queening. It's only 2 moves away, and I couldn't see how he could stop it. So that's what I tried to do. However, better move would have been this unblockable check here. And I think pretty much wherever he goes, it's now my move, so he can't do this knight takes pawn check, and I can now just simply do that. So now even if he does this, it really makes no difference. I can he can give me the runaround as much as he likes. Really makes no odds.
Check.
Really doesn't amount to a hill of beans.
Check.
As you see, this is now, there's nothing much more he can do. He can try and get to that checking square there, but then I've got
promotion to queen,
and it's far too late. So that's what I should have done. However, what I did was I took the rook, and I thought this pawn would queen. Looking at it, it looks like it should, but and if it did, then that would have been a rather superb and rather magnificent ending. As it is, the ending wasn't too bad, but it wasn't a win. So I come up here. Yeah, I probably should have run the other way. I should have gone down. Again, another mistake. I should have drawn that knight away from my pawn. So I came up, and that gave him But again, he's managed to get to the checking square there, so that's a bit of a shame. So drive the other one on. And the thing is, his king's going to go up. But the thing is, after this, he can't take that pawn because then I'll queen the other with check. So the king comes up. Then I have to defend the pawn with the other pawn. And then the king comes up to attack that one. So what choice do I have? I just have to snap up his pawn at least. Stop him getting these queens going. And now the only option I have, crazy as it seems, is to queen that pawn to get his knight away.
Promotion to knight.
So so
Promotion to knight.
I promoted it to a knight because no point in not doing so. I had already asked him for a draw. Or perhaps I asked him for a draw at this point, I can't remember. And now, because he's tried to bring the king over, he's a bit late. Didn't bring the knight over, so I take this. And now I actually still have a chance of winning here. He doesn't. He can't win this game now. So moving the king up, moving the pawn up, and
Impossibility of checkmate.
he gives me the draw. He can't win. He can't win, so he might as well give me the draw, rather than risk me winning. So, what did I call this game? Can't remember now. But a Class A player. Class A player kind of got me a little bit panicked there. And I threw away a possible win. But it still earns me points. A draw against a Class A player still notches me up a few points because I'm a Class B player. So it's all good. And it's all good learning about that queening pawn. Really got to analyse that so carefully. And it's not that easy to analyse when you've only got 60 seconds. But I should have seen the other queen move, really.
Impossibility of checkmate.
Yeah.
Promotion to knight.
He wore me down.
Check, check, check. Check.
He wore me down, and that's what I called the game. Should have come up with this.
Check.
Kept thinking diagonally with the queen. Keep on thinking. A rook cannot block a queen forever. As you see, he sooner or later gets stuck like that, and he can't block the attack. But yeah, this superior player from Turkey wore me down. But not enough to not have to give me some of his rating points.